All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Ostrowski, and I work in the Environmental Support Division at Eagle, and I welcome you to our public hearing tonight and public information meeting. This is on an Eagle permit application to impact 0.56 acres of wetlands in Commerce Township in Oakland County. And you can see the submission number that's listed on the screen there. And again, it's in Commerce Township in Oakland County. Some of you may or may not have ever been on an online public meeting before from Eagle. So I'm just going to run through some basic guidelines and kind of explain how it's going to work and introduce some staff. We're going to do a quick presentation, then we're going to hear comments from you all. So just to kind of run through things, and I'll tell you, by the way, it looks like we've got about 37 people logged in right now, and I'm sure we'll have some more come in as well. So basically the way it happens is that we're going to start out with a quick introduction of the staff. Then we're going to have kind of two parts to our meeting today. The first part is an information session where we're going to have the applicant explain what's happening, what the application is for, and for about 5 to 10 minutes. We're going to open it up then to questions and answers. It'll be a chance for you all to ask your questions if you have them, and we'll do our best to answer them. I'll explain how to ask questions in just a moment. Once we get through that informal Q&A process, we're going to then move to the official comment process, the official hearing. And at that point, we're going to have a person come up and do a public hearing statement to explain the project again, explain how it's going to work. And we're going to give you each time, if you want to make a public comment for the record, to make your comment. And again, I'll explain how to do that when the time comes. So just to let you know, we have two parts of the meeting. Our informal part is going to last till about 6:30 or so. Our more formal part, the hearing, will take as long as it takes to hear your comments tonight. Just a couple housekeeping guidelines. At right now, all the lines are muted. So you can hear us, but we can't hear you. I'll explain how we can hear you in just a moment. If you have questions tonight during our Q&A process, you can submit your questions using the question box on your Zoom toolbar, and those will come into us and we'll ask them. Or you can raise your hand using the little raise your hand icon. If you didn't see it, we are recording tonight's public hearing. We record all our public hearings and then we post them to our YouTube channel. So if for some reason you can't stick around for the whole thing, or you have somebody else that wanted to watch it and couldn't tonight, we'll direct you to that YouTube channel. We'll send you all an email afterwards and let you know where you can find it. All right, so at this point, I'm going to have Andy Hartz and Sue Tapati come on and introduce themselves. So Andy, you can go first.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for showing up tonight. My name is Andy Hartz. I'm the hearings officer tonight. I'm the district supervisor for the Water Resources Division, one of 3 supervisors in the Water Resources Division in the Water Resource Unit. We're based in the Warren office. With me tonight is Sue. Sue, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. Sue Tapati. I cover mostly parts of Oakland County and am a senior environmental quality analyst under Andy. And one of the townships that I currently cover is Commerce.
All right, thanks, Sue and Andy. They'll be hanging out with us today, listening to your comments and answering questions. So at this time, what we're going to do is we want to have the permit applicant or the representative come up and do a short presentation. So I'm told that I think it's Jeff King's going to present. I don't see him in attendance. Maybe someone else is presenting. I don't know, Andy.
Yeah, Teresa Partington.
Okay, Teresa. Yeah, hold on a second, Teresa. I'm going to find you and unmute your line. So there you are. All right. So Teresa, you should be able to unmute. You can hear me?
Yep. Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Great.
So at this point, what I'm going to do is we're going to turn off our cameras and we have your slides here. So if you want to just basically introduce yourself and tell me when you want me to click your slides, I'll click through them for you.
Okay. First, let me introduce myself. My name is Teresa Partington. I am a licensed landscape architect, professional wetland scientist, and a certified arborist working with PEA Group. And we are helping the applicant, Robert Cobb, apply for a wetlands and inland lakes permit with the state of Michigan. Here tonight with me too is Robert Cobb. He is going to introduce himself a little bit, and then I'm going to go through the project description. And then we also have Jeff King with Bar Engineering, and he's going to also provide some information and help with the question and answer session. Robert, do you want to say hello? And
Hello, my name is Robert Cobb. I'm the individual who started this project and hope to complete it. I've been looking for this type of project for about 20 years. It's very difficult to find a piece of property that is properly zoned on the water. We wanted to put in a restaurant, a very similar model to our restaurant in Key West, Florida, which we call a diner. We cater to everybody, to families, and we have everything available there in Florida, and we would like to do the very similar type operation. We're very good at price points for what you call middle of the road, and the quality of our food is always the top of the line, whatever it is that we end up selling you. Like if we sell you albacore tuna, you get albacore tuna, which is the best. At any rate, we look forward to working ahead. We hope our team is successful in convincing everybody that this would be a good project, that this is not a big, gigantic restaurant. It's a relatively small restaurant on a very small piece of land, only 40,000 square feet, less than an acre. And we think it would be a real asset to that community. I think we think our price point will be good, our hours will be good, and our size will be good.
thank you, Robert. You want to click on the first slide? So again, the project description is we have about an acre of property on a corner of Union Lake and Ferret. There's about, as it says right there, 0.5 acres of emergent wetland. They're constructing a 2-story building of approximately a total of 10,000 square feet, with 5,000 square feet being on one level. There are 5 transient boat slips, and there's a cantilevered 60 by 20 foot deck off of the shoreline of canal, actually, of Union Lake. Next. Here's some aerial images from Oakland Property Gateway of some historical existing house on this lot. And you can see the canal leading out to Union Lake. Next. 1990 aerial image of same property. The house is demolished and removed. Next. Here's a more current aerial image from Google Earth Image 2021. You can see 2 driveways, and you can see that canal still there. And this is where PEA Group has met with Robert Cobb, and it'll lead us to our next drawing. Next. Here's some site photos during the wetland delineation last summer in 2021. This is on the boundary in the upland and wetland line looking at Union Lake. Next.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I just want to do a quick check. Can Andy, can you verify? Can you guys see my slides? Can you see these slides?
Yes, sir. We're on site photograph July 2021.
Okay, I just had a couple of people comment that they weren't able to see the slides. If you're not able to see them, just make sure that you can, your screens may be refreshed. You might have to log in, come back on, or make sure that your Zoom button is in focus on your screen. I'm sorry, go ahead and continue.
Oh, yeah, and on this one right here, I'm gonna stay for a minute. The house would reside kind of left of that pink flag in this whole area, actually. Next. Here's a shot of the wetlands. A lot of this is in the right-of-way ditch of Ferret Drive, but this is looking at Union Lake, and then Ferret Drive is there to the right. Next. And then this is a view looking from the Union Lake Canal into the site, kind of towards Union Lake Road in the background. And this is the remnant of the old canal that used to be along the property. And a majority of that is an invasive species called Phragmites australis. Next. These are some pictures taken this past early spring, March 2022. This is looking at the canal that leads out to Union Lake. The writing in there is from documented utility companies and road commission. They have been using this property as a staging area for a lot of current road improvements and utility improvements along Union Lake Road. They weren't, permission was not asked for by the applicant, Robert Cobb, who owned the land at this time. So you can go to the next picture. This just documents some of the debris, some of the activity that has been occurring on the edges and in the site too, from these utility companies and road commission using this site as a staging area. Next, that's along Union Lake Road. Again, evidence of equipment that's been set there using this as a staging area. Next. Oh, okay. Here's an existing conditions plan of this 2-parcel, 1-acre total property. We did perform a wetland delineation. This obviously has been public notice, so the wetland boundaries have been verified by Eagle. The canal is there to the lower right of that plan. Next. Here is a proposed site plan that is associated with this permit application. What you see here is, again, that 10,000 square foot total building, 5,000 on the first floor, 5,000 on the second floor. It has associated parking. The stormwater detention is underground. We have a cantilevered seasonal deck to the south of the building that is gonna cantilever over the wetlands. And then we have the 5 transient docks that are seasonal that will be brought up every winter. Next. This graphic, which I tried to simplify what the proposed development is conveying. The darker green is more of the permanent development with the restaurant, the parking, landscape space. The orange/brown zone is existing wetland, and the wetland is proposed to remain, but we do want to restore it, enhance it. There's a lot of invasive species, and we like to enhance or restore that wetland so we can continue to have shoreline wetlands. And then the blue is the Union Lake Canal. We have proposed minimal dredging there, just where the transient docks are, just to get boats in and out. As far as the process, we have done concept plans with Commerce Township. We are not in the process of site planning yet with Commerce Township. Currently, we are focused on the regulatory process for the state of Michigan with the inland lakes and the wetlands. So we understand that there's overriding issues that come along with site development. But for right now, we're focusing on the wetlands and the inland lakes with the state of Michigan. And that concludes our presentation.
All right, thank you both for your presentation tonight. I'm going to have Andy and Sue come back up if they would. So right now what we're going to do is open it up for questions from you all as attendees. We're going to keep it open for about 15 minutes or so. If you have a question, you can type it into the question box on your Zoom toolbar and we'll read it off. Or you can click the raise hand icon and we will raise and we'll see your hand is raised and be able to do it that way. All right. So again, it looks like we have a couple people on the phone listening in. So if you're listening in on the phone, you have a question, you can type #2. And what that'll do is let us know you got your hand raised and we'll unmute you. I just want to remind Teresa, you to mute your line unless you're talking so that we can make sure we can hear the questions coming in. So I'm going to direct questions to Andy and Sue first, and Andy and Sue will let us know if they want Teresa for you to answer. All right, so questions. I did have a question come in through our question box here. It says, are the boat slips going to be for only people dining or for the neighborhood? So Andy, is that something you want to answer or pass along?
I'm just interpreting the plan. I think it's just for transient people visiting the restaurant, but we should probably have Teresa confirm that.
Teresa, you want to confirm that? And Teresa, you're muted.
There we go. Yeah, so the boat slips are not overnight. They are only for restaurant use.
Okay.
And I think maybe Teresa, what they were getting at is like,
Residents.
yeah, would a boat slip be rented to a neighborhood resident, for instance, for the summertime?
No.
Okay.
No, it really is for people to, have an experience of boating, come to a restaurant, dine, leave that spot open for another person if.
Right.
All right, thank you. Got a couple hands raised. Mike's got his hands raised. Mike, I just unmuted your line so you can unmute yourself and ask your question. Go ahead.
Great. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Great. So a couple quick questions here for you. First is, what's the restaurant in Key West that this would be similar to? What's the name of the restaurant?
Teresa?
The name of the restaurant is called Harpoon Harry's.
Okay. And what are the proposed business hours of the location that's going to be built?
I have no idea.
TBD.
Teresa?
You want us to answer that?
Yeah, that'd be set by the township. I have no idea.
Okay. Does Harpoon Harry's have live music?
Teresa, Jeff, King, I don't know.
Teresa, you're muted if you want to answer that.
Yeah, sorry, we're conferring. Hold on.
Okay. And I just want to remind our attendees tonight that what we're talking about tonight is the impacts to the environment and basically what was identified in the public notice. So if you have questions about more local zoning, noise, traffic, that type of thing, that's handled at the township level, a different level. So that will be a different permitting and different regulatory process. So if you do your best to kind of make sure your question is directed to the environmental issues.
Yeah, Jim,
go
sorry.
ahead, Teresa.
Sorry about that, Jim. I apologize.
That's
So
all right.
there's a zoning question that I do have, just real quick. It's the notice, it was mentioned earlier that a site plan has not been put together for Commerce Township. Is the property currently zoned for this sort of purpose?
We don't know. This is Andy. We don't know.
Okay.
We did receive a comment from the township, just saying that they've had informal discussions with Mr. Cobb and his team, but nothing's been formally presented to the township.
Okay, I was curious about that because Robert said it was properly zoned. So thank you for that. That's all the questions I have at this time.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, going to our question box. What about environmental impact? Have any studies been done? This person is saying no studies have been done. Have there been any environmental impact studies done, Andy or Sue, that you're aware of?
No, not past the, not to my knowledge, not past the wetland delineation. Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay. This person here is wondering, what about persons purchasing a condo and want to have a boat? Where would their slips be? So I don't think that's related to this project. Is that correct? Or
I don't think
condos
there's,
associated with this, or
I didn't think so. Teresa?
Hang on for a second.
We're clarifying with the applicant. Hold on.
I'm going to take this question to you, Andy and Sue. What about affecting the wetland wildlife that reside? The residents
Sure.
have come to love. How do we deal with that?
That's part of our review. And as part of our review, we will confer with the DNR, Michigan Department of Natural Resources, both Fisheries Division and Wildlife Division for their concerns. Fisheries Division is the division at DNR that oversees fish and herps like turtles and frogs and things like that. So they've already submitted, I believe, a comment. I think they're going to submit another comment after the hearing to us. And those include their assessment of what this kind of a project might have on the fisheries of Union Lake. And so that's certainly part of our consideration. Yeah.
All right, I got a couple questions about the wetlands themselves. One person is asking how much the wetlands will be destroyed, including the canal dredging. Another person is asking if you can describe the wetlands that will be destroyed and how the mitigation area will be replaced, the volume and types of wildlife.
Well, looking at the plan here that Teresa talked about earlier, they showed either preserving and or enhancing or restoring or creating wetland along that one edge. It would be like north of where the canal is on the property. You know, the proposal before Eagle right now is to impact, you know, just over a half acre of wetland on the property. Teresa, do you know from a square footage standpoint, how much in that drawing that you presented earlier, how much of that brown area, what the aerial extent of that is, how big?
Yeah, I have it. Oh, how fast can I figure it out? I want to say it's around 0.22. Let me look at my permit drawings here real quick, Andy. I'm looking. It is.
20
No,
by 50.
it's not cumulative. It's about 0.2 of an acre, 0.22.
Okay.
Of wetland to remain, but change as far as diversity and type of wetland. We want to make the wetland wetter to avoid the accumulation of the invasive species Phragmites.
Okay,
And
can I
provide,
just, you know,
ahead.
thanks, Teresa. Can I just confirm something here? This drawing that's up here before us right now, it says impact and restoration plan. Is that Ferrant Road across the north green?
That is correct.
Okay, and then Union Lake Road is on the left, which is the west.
That is correct.
Okay, just, yep, thank you. Okay, Jim?
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
All right. So Andy and Sue, did the applicant submit a complete application to enable final decision?
Yeah, file's complete. Yes.
Okay. Okay, I don't know how you guys want to address this one, but person's asking about the docks won't be rented out. How do we know that the position won't change years from now? So I don't know if you want to address, you know, if they want to change in the future, how the layout is occurring for what they're permitted now in the future. How does that work?
That's a good question. So I'm presuming the question is making a presumption that the restaurant land use ceases and it turns into a 4-unit condo building or something like that.
Maybe.
That's a good question. I mean, once we issue a permit for docks, yeah, that's a good question. That might be more of a township control kind of issue. I mean, once we issue a permit for docks, you know, we expect boats to be docked there. We wouldn't, for instance, put probably in the permit if a permit were to be issued, we would not put in there a condition that said something like overnight only because Eagle's not in a position to enforce that.
Right.
So we wouldn't put a condition in a permit that we weren't prepared to enforce. So
right.
that's a good question. I'm not really sure of the answer.
Okay. And I'm going to put Andy and Sue's email up towards the end. So if you do want to direct any questions directly to them, you can. Dale has got his hand up. So Dale, go ahead. You can ask your question. You got to unmute your line first and you can ask your question.
There was a question earlier about the application being complete that would allow the DNR or the Water Association here to make a decision on the permit, a yes or a no. And I was wondering, did they notify the owners? Is there a requirement for that to notify the adjacent owners? And did they do that? Did the applicant do that?
I believe Eagle did that. That's part of our public noticing.
So the applicant doesn't have to do that? I'm just.
No, that's actually the role of Eagle to do that in this particular permit application.
I see. And regarding the wetlands, how much, in terms of square footage or some measurement, how much wetland is there that's going to be more or less destroyed or filled in? And how much will be preserved?
Yeah, the current proposal proposes 0.56 of an acre of take, so just over a half acre. And Teresa just told us that roughly 2/10 of an acre, 0.22 acres of wetland to remain enhanced.
So roughly a third, 2/3 would be destroyed. Is that the idea?
Just over a half acre.
Okay. Do we know, I guess this is more or less a question for the applicant, but there's an adjacent homeowner right at the exit of that canal. And that canal, I think, is only about 10 or 12 feet wide where the boats exit onto the main body of Union Lake, which pretty much goes directly in front of the homeowner there. And I'm wondering if the applicant is aware of the riparian rights law that exist in the state of Michigan about being a nuisance and affecting other riparian owners there.
I could answer that. I'm sure that they are, Dale. Both of these consultants are seasoned natural resource consultants. I'm sure they're aware of the riparian laws and riparian rights.
I see. When they were when the applicant was making their presentation, they made several slides on the debris from the repair of the canal or the repair of the dam or the water level control on Union Lake Road there. Does that have any bearing on this situation here? And I'm wondering why the applicant went into that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, does it have any bearing on Eagle making a decision?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Okay, so that's just fluff, basically.
Oh, Dale, you got one more question, then I got to go to a couple other
Yeah,
questions.
I guess I have one final comment.
Okay.
I'm the president of the Union Lake Shores Association, and we represent over 325 homeowners on the lake. And I can tell you categorically that the board has voted to not approve this wetland application. And to the best of our knowledge, I think that canal and the canal on the other side of the Matter of Taste restaurant, which is 2 buildings to the south, I believe those are the only 2 natural habitats that are left on Union Lake. And it can Eagle confirm that? I don't know of any other natural habitats like that that are on the lake.
I don't know the lake that well, Dale, to confirm or
Yeah.
correct that.
Well, I've been out here for over 50 years, and I can tell you those are the only.
That's certainly something we'd like to hear from you during the comment period.
Yeah, and we're going to open it for comments just a minute. We can have you can put your comment on the record. Right now, I'm going to go to a couple other questions that have come in before we move into the public comment part of tonight. A couple of people have asked about dredging, if there's going to be any dredging in the canal as part of this. You guys address that?
Yeah, Teresa, can you speak to that? I see you have your hand up too.
Yeah.
I think there is some limited dredging, and I'm not sure that was shown on the drawing. Teresa, can you confirm that for us?
Yes, so before I answer that question, I want to do 2 points of clarification on some previous questions and comments. Number one, about the docks, after speaking with the applicant, if the township, again, we have not gone through the formal site plan process with Commerce Township, but if the site plan with a residence on the second story of the building is approved, there could be one of those slips be for that resident, and that's it. Now, item number 2 is the question about total wetland impact acreage and the enhancement wetland acreage. I found my language that was typed up in the alternatives analysis letter. A total of 46 acres of emergent wetland is proposed to be filled or dredged, and a 10th 0.46 acres and a 0.1 acres of wetland will be enhanced along the shoreline, which gives you the 0.56 acres as shown in the public notice. So, and then lastly, the question about dredging is there is minimal dredging right where the docks are, just so that we have about 18 inches of water to get the boats in and out of the canal. There's no deep dredging. It's just really to get some of that sediment out of there so we can get boats in and out of the canal, but very light dredging.
Thanks for those clarifications, Teresa. Go to a couple more questions. We're gonna switch it over. This person had several questions. One of them, though, I don't know who wants to address this one, but have other properties been evaluated for the project? Do we require them to evaluate other properties, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's part of our assessment. Part 303 calls for the department to look at alternatives, which could include both offsite and onsite alternatives. So, yeah, and I do note that some of the comments we've received to date actually suggest some alternative locations around the county for this kind of land use.
Okay. This other question is a good one. I don't think maybe you guys can address this. This person is basically asking, we all have trouble getting tiny projects in the wetland approved. I'm having a hard time understanding how a massive project like this is being considered without more formal impact evaluation before that application is complete. So I don't know, Andy, if you want to kind of run through how, it's different size projects, how one works versus another, how you guys evaluate those.
It's a good question. The level of environmental review is often commensurate with the proposed impact. So, and we're really just at the beginning of this review, right? When we public noticed it, we got an application. We don't control who applies for what. We can't reject an application just because we think it's a bad idea. The people are entitled to the process of applying for a permit and going through the process. So as a part of that process, we are having a public hearing tonight. We'll do a site visit. We'll gather comments from whoever wants to comment to us. We'll talk with Fisheries Division. We'll make a site visit and we'll do an assessment. I'm not quite sure what the person actually, the questioner has in mind about environmental assessments, but yeah, I mean, that's and I'll go through some of the criteria that we're going to review it against, but could you read the question again, Jim? Could you summarize it again?
Yeah, so this person is basically saying, well, they're saying we all have trouble getting tiny projects in the wetlands approved. So I don't know if there's a lot of projects that have been applied for around here. He's having a hard time understanding how a massive project, I don't know if this is considered massive or not, is being considered without more formal impact evaluation before the application is complete. So I guess they're just comparing, wondering if multiple projects other projects are getting denied and why is this one being considered? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not sure there's a great answer for that.
Yeah. Okay. There's I can tell you there's a lot of questions in here that are mainly related to more zoning, noise. Is this a resident or not? Teresa, can you just clarify really quick? Is there going to be residents here or not? Is there going to be residents? Or residential
Basi-
units?
Just, yeah, on the second story.
Okay.
If the
Thank you.
township approves it.
Okay, thank you. And let's just clarify for questions related to the township related activities. Andy and Sue, it's Commerce Township, is that correct?
Correct.
I believe so, yep. And so those should be directed. And I think that takes us to the end. We have to keep moving on with our meeting tonight. So we did a few more questions that have come in. At the end of tonight's session, I am going to provide contact information for Sue and Andy. So if you want to contact them directly, you can with a question. There's also a lot of information about your project in our My Water system, which is the system where we take all the information about the application. And I don't know, Sue, if you're able to, would you be able to put a link to the direct link to this application into the chat for everybody to look at if they want to have it? It might be easier if people want to take a look at that, they can. So Sue, I think you should have ability to send a note out to everyone with that link if you wouldn't mind doing that. Appreciate it. All right. So again, if you have more questions, you'd be able to direct them at that point either to the township if it's more of a zoning question, to Commerce Township, or to Sue and Andy later on. But we got to keep this meeting moving because I want to make use of all your time. So we appreciate you being here tonight. So I want to thank Teresa for being on and presenting and answer questions. Teresa, thank you very much tonight. And we're going to move into the public comment period. So thank you, Teresa. All right, so as we move into this, I'm going to have Andy read a statement in just a moment, but I want to remind people that there are other ways to provide comments. So if you don't feel comfortable commenting tonight, you want to review some of the information first, you can submit a comment via My Waters, and the information's up there. I'll try to put it into the chat later on as well. And also you can submit it via mail. If you would like to type up a letter and mail it in, you can do that to our Water Resource Division, Warren District Office, 27700 Donald Court, Warren, Michigan, 48092. And I remind you that the public comment will be open until September 23rd, 2022. And if you missed that, don't worry, I'll bring it up again. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Andy Hartz, and he's going to read our public hearing statement, and we're going to move into the official public hearing part of tonight. So go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Jim. Please, everyone, bear with me here. This is going to take me just a moment to get through, and we've actually shortened it from what it used to be. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Andrew Hartz. I'm the District Supervisor for the Water Resources Division of the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy, EGLE. I'll be serving as the hearings officer tonight for submission number HPF-NM 6V as in Victor /C as in Charlie 4C B as in boy Y as in Yankee. With me tonight is Sue Tapati, the environmental quality analyst with the unit. She handles a big portion of Oakland County. Why I'm handling this file tonight is that it was assigned to a previous staff person, and that previous staff person left and went out west. And I just couldn't assign it to Sue because she's got such a big workload, so I'm helping. To describe how it's going to go tonight, I'll begin with some background information about why we're here tonight. I'll then describe the purpose of the hearing and how your comments will be used. Following that, I will outline the procedures under which we will take your comments and then describe what will happen after tonight's hearing. It will then be time for you to provide comments, and we will spend the majority of time listening to those comments. At the end of the hearing, I will read a closing statement. By way of background information, the Water Resources Division is responsible for administering a variety of programs that help protect inland lakes and streams, wetlands, floodplains, sand dunes, and the Great Lakes. These programs regulate certain activities such as dredging or filling a lake, stream, or a wetland, constructing a dam, constructing a marina, placing shore protection or constructing docks, building in a designated sand dune area, wetland, or floodplain. The law governing these responsibilities is the Natural Resources and Environmental Protection Act, 1994, Public Act 451 as amended. We're here tonight because Mr. Robert Cobb has proposed to impact 0.56 acres of emergent wetland to construct a two-story building of approximately 10,000 square feet for a restaurant private residence with attending 5 boat slips and a 60-foot by 20-foot deck on Union Lake. In order for a permit to be granted, Eagle must find that the proposed activities described in the public notice meet certain criteria set by Part 303 Wetlands Protection and Part 301 Inland Lakes and Streams Act. In general, we must consider the effect of the proposed project when reviewing the application for permit. The provisions of Part 303 and 301, Eagle is charged to make the following considerations as required by the law. The department shall not issue a permit if it finds that the structure or project will adversely affect the public trust or riparian rights. The department shall not grant a permit if the proposed project or structure will unlawfully impair or destroy any of the waters or other natural resources of the state. When reviewing an application for permit under these provisions, Eagle is charged to make the following indications as required by Section 303.11 of Part 303. A permit for an activity listed in 303.04 shall not be approved unless the department determines that the issuance of a permit is in the public interest, that the permit is necessary to realize the benefits derived from the activity, and that the activity is otherwise lawful. In addition, a permit shall not be issued unless it is shown that an unacceptable disruption will not result to the aquatic resources. A permit shall not be issued unless the applicant shows either of the following: the proposed activity is primarily dependent upon being located in a wetland, or a feasible and prudent alternative does not exist. The purpose of tonight's hearing is to give anyone interested in the project an opportunity to provide information that Eagle can use in making the decision whether or not to issue a permit. Please recognize that Eagle can only use the information you provide as it relates to the criteria that Eagle must use in making this decision. Some of you may simply want to express your support or opposition to the project. We'd be happy to make note of your position, but please understand that Eagle is by law not allowed to base our decision on whether or not there is widespread support or opposition to a project. In just a moment, I'll outline the procedures we will use for taking your comments. But before I do so, I need to mention that the notice of this hearing was published in the Spinal Column on August 31st, 2022. As we discussed at the beginning of the informational session, if you have a comment to provide, raise your hand in the Zoom toolbar to ensure that the hearing is conducted in a fair manner. We will use these steps. The applicant will provide a presentation, which we've already done. Second, we will then call on those who have indicated in their registration that they would like to speak. After that, we will call on any of those that have raised their hand in the Zoom toolbar that would like to make a comment if they haven't already been called upon. As a reminder, if you are participating in this hearing via telephone only, follow the directions of the moderator on how to identify that you would like to make a comment. You may also submit your comments to Eagle via MyWaters, email, or US mail. When all of the comments have been completed, we will ask if anyone else would like to make a statement. Anyone present tonight, whether you've raised your hand, pre-registered, or whatever it is, you'll be given an opportunity to speak. When your name is called, your microphone will be unmuted. As you begin your comments, please state your name and any group or association you may represent. Each person will be given 4 minutes to make their comments. We will indicate to you when you have a minute left. Please begin wrapping up your comments and end within the allotted time. If need be, we will indicate when your time is ended. I ask that we all be courteous and respectful to one another tonight. Please also recognize that Eagle staff is here tonight to provide a fair opportunity for you to express your comments on the proposed project and to listen to those comments. The hearing is being recorded and your comments will be part of the information Eagle will consider in making its decision on whether or not to issue a permit for the proposed project. The public comment period for this public hearing is open for 10 calendar days from this date, ending on Friday, September 23rd, 2022. Additional information and comments submitted in writing during the 10-day comment period will also be considered in Eagle's decision. Following the close of the public comment period, Eagle will make a decision to either issue a permit for the project as proposed or with modifications, or send a letter of denial. You may find out what the decision is by checking the Eagle MyWaters website and searching for the application number HPF-NM6V-C4CBY. Thank you for your attention. We will begin calling the names of those who have indicated that they'd like to make a statement.
All right, thanks, Andy. Just to remind everybody, at this point, we're just listening to your comments. We're not responding. So we're taking it for the record and remind you we're recording it. So we have recording of this. I post it online later on. Like Andy said, I do have a list here of people who, when they registered, indicated they want to make a comment. So I'm going to go through that list first and call up people in the order that they registered. And I will let you know who's up and then who's on deck to comment next, so you can be ready. Remember, you have 4 minutes. Once we get through this list, and there's only about 5 people on this list here, I'll open it up to anybody else. And if you want to comment, you can raise your hand and I will call on you at that point, and I'll let you know when that happens. So just a reminder, Andy and Sue are on and they'll be listening to your comments and taking any notes. All right, so the first person I got up that indicated they wanted to make a comment is Mike Betts. Then after Mike, we're going to have Ben Krebs up. So Mike Betts, I know you are here because you asked a question earlier. So I am going to unmute your mic and you can go ahead and make your comment. Just remember, you have 4 minutes. I'll let you know when your time's up. So. Mike, you should be. Sorry about that, everybody. I think we must have had an issue with the internet or something. Andy, you still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
I got you.
Let me bring this back up again. I don't know, must have been some weird issue. So I am going to make sure I can share my screen again. Sorry, buddy. Sometimes stuff like that happens. All right, so let's go back to my attendees and we'll see if I can get Mike back up here again. So Mike, if you're there, we'll go, there you go. All right, so Mike, you should be able to make your comment now. Okay, sorry about that. Go ahead.
No problem. Thank you very much. And thank you for your indulgence earlier in the session when I had the questions. Appreciate you clarifying that. Just a couple quick comments here. First, as I looked at what the plan was, I have taken a couple of personal visits over to the area that is proposed for development. And, I just have to tell you that this project does represent an unacceptable disruption of natural habitat, including habitat of a bald eagle. It is not, we've had the opportunity to speak with many of our neighbors adjacent to us, but also across the lake. Not one of them has said that they're in favor of this project going forward. For numerous reasons, not only just simply that the habitat being destroyed in that particular area, but just the unwanted business on our lake. We are going to fight this with everything we've got. And we strongly recommend to Mr. Hobb that he consider a different location for his business, because this is not something that the residents of this lake are going to abide by. Thank you for my time.
Okay, thank you, sir. Going to my next group of people, we got Ben Krebs and then Flory Mojica or Magica. I'm gonna look for Ben. I don't see Ben, so if for some reason you're registered under a different name, Ben, you might want to raise your hand and we'll get to you later. Flory. There you are. You should be able to unmute your mic, and apologize if I mispronounce your name. Go ahead and repeat it.
Mojica?
I had it right the first time. Okay, go ahead. You have 4 minutes.
Well, I echo the first gentleman's comment. Was it Mike? This project will destroy the natural habitat of the canal and of the lake. No matter how little, quote unquote, the dredging they will make, that will still disrupt the natural habitat of the wildlife. Plus, climate change. We talk about climate change. Maybe this is just a fraction of Michigan that's going to, but there's still carbon emission impact in that with the boats going in and out of the canal. Look at how much flooding we have all over the country and drought. Again, maybe this is just in Michigan, but every little thing counts. And again, I echo Mike and said there are other locations there, like Matter of Taste is closed right now. Maybe the gentleman, Mr. Cobb, might consider having the business there, but destroying a natural habitat is not acceptable to the earth and our environment. We already have problems with climate change, and we must do even a little part. We each must do a little part to preserve climate change. And that's about it.
Okay, thank you for your comment, Lori. All right, next person up that asked to make a comment is Linda Milne. Then after Linda is Dave Meeks. So Linda, I see you have a hand raised. So I am going to unmute you, and you should be able to unmute yourself and make your comment. You have 4 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, hello. I would like to say that I live on Peninsula Park, and my house is on Peninsula Park, and destroying this habitat and destroying that area where children go play, there's picnic tables and bonfire pits, and the noise and everything else is totally unacceptable. There's a lot of geese, there's a lot of wildlife, and I'm just gonna say that we will fight this to the end. I mean, we don't need people coming out from a bar or whatever and driving up and down. We're a little peninsula, a little gated, not gated, but a little area where our kids run free and people, big wheels or whatever, riding down the street. And to have an area like this right on our block where people are going to be wanting to drive through and just see, oh, this is so nice, this little peninsula, is going to bring us a lot of danger. And I'm not for it. I don't think any of my neighbors are for it. And I just need to speak my opinion because I will fight to the end before this gets done. And then also I wanted to ask a question. I also heard that the wetlands on the other side of Union Lake was going to be used for additional parking. Is that true? Has anybody brought up that, or what is the position of that?
Yeah, it's
So-
something we're just taking comments right now, but it is something if you want to leave for the record, we'll leave, it'll be in the record.
Yeah, I believe we're going to fight this, and that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comment. Next up for commenter is Dave Meeks. Dave, I'm going to unmute your line so you can go ahead and make your comment. Go ahead. You've got to unmute your line. Dave Meeks, I've just unmuted your line so you can make your comment. So there's a little button that should allow you to unmute your microphone.
There we go. Sorry, I forgot to turn off the button. Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you now. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. Thank you very much. My name is Dave Meeks. I've lived on Union Lake for 27 years. And before I moved on the lake, I lived on Ferrant Drive, where these wetlands are that are being discussed. There are 365 lakes in Oakland County, and not many of them have wetlands. Eagle might know the exact of lakes, but I could not. So there's a gentleman named Dr. Fusler at Oakland University that gives presentations about the quality of the lakes in our area. And Dr. Fusler said that Union Lake is one of the cleanest and healthiest lakes in Oakland County. There was a study done in 2009 with Metro Mode that said that the loss of lakeshore habitat and physical lakeshore complexity are major stressors for the Michigan lakes, with nearly 40% of Michigan lakes in poor conditions from these stressors. Michigan State University also did a study that says that of the rare animals, over 46 endangered species in Michigan are found in the wetlands. The wetlands on Union Lake are a habitat that can support these 46 endangered species. And last summer, a Union Lake resident discovered a dead beaver on Union Lake Road right across the street from the wetlands. And I don't know if we can get Eagle to comment on that, but I've not heard of a beaver living in any local lakes in this area. So those are my comments, and I'd like to close by saying I would request that the Water Resources Division not approve this almost 1/2 acre of Union Lake wetlands destruction. Thank you very much for allowing me to comment.
All right, thank you for your comments, sir. All right, so that takes us to the list of people who indicated when they registered that they wanted to make a comment. At this point, what we're going to do is open it up to anybody else that's attending. And just to let you know, there's about 50 people logged in tonight. We do have some hands raised. If you want to make a comment tonight, just like the other people have done so far, you can click the raise hand icon and I will call you in, I guess, whatever order you raise your hand. If you're on the phone and you want to make a comment, we have a couple people that have called in. You just hit #2. And what that does is indicate to me that your hand is raised, and I will let you know that you can make your comment. All right, so let's go through the list. Remember, you have 4 minutes, and remember to repeat your name and any organization that you are representing. So first person on my list with their hand raised is Lyle. So Lyle, I'm going to unmute your mic and you can go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Just quickly, he's going to have 5 boat docks in there, and I cannot see boats getting in and out of there to the lake without doing some type of dredging to that existing canal, and that's just not acceptable. And not only that, but the traffic on Union Lake Road, it's bad enough as it is, and with something like this, it'll make it even worse. And along Ferent, there'll be cars flying through this peninsula. I live in a peninsula, and it'll just cause a lot of traffic in this peninsula also. That's basically what I wanted to say. And I'm not for it at all.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your comment. All right. Next person, Dale Marley. Dale, you can go ahead and make your comment.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I spoke earlier before, just to introduce myself and to get on the record formally. I am the president of the Union Lake Shores Association. And we have taken a resolution that we are against the approval of this permit. There was a couple of main issues brought up as to why we oppose it. I guess number one and foremost might be the importance of wetlands. And I think several of the speakers before have spoken to that issue, but wetlands are obviously important for improving the water quality, providing fish and wildlife habitats, maintaining surface water flow, etc. Somebody made a comment that a wetland is really a biological supermarket that provides great volumes of food that attract many species. I've been a resident out here for over 60 years. My family was here in the early 40s. And I can tell you that there is no other wetlands on Union Lake other than the 2 canals that are at an issue here, or at least the one canal that we're talking about. And the other one is 2 buildings to the south. So basically, one of the big issues with the association not wanting to approve this is because of the habitat and the wetlands. And then the other issue that came up that's it's probably more important for the local riparian owners that are just adjacent to this canal is that Michigan law does have a reasonable use doctrine. And basically that says that one's own use of the water cannot unduly interfere with the navigability or the rights of others to reasonably use the water and their respective riparian rights. There's no question that given the activity that is in the canal already with boats that are docked there, that if there were more boats docked, there's one beautiful home right adjacent to that canal as you exit. And I believe that exit is probably only 10 or 12 feet wide. And to have a number of boats coming in to go eat dinner or lunch and go in and out, they would be directly affecting the homeowner's individual riparian rights. And it's not just one home, it would be several homes along that waterway path to get to the canal and dock. So, and there's been several lawsuits in Michigan that the courts have laid down as to what the controlling law should be. And
You have 1 minute.
okay, so in any event, again, I would like to say that just to reiterate that the association is definitely against this, and clearly there will be litigation if this goes forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, next person with their hand up and wants to make a comment is Marjorie Collins. Marjorie, you can go ahead.
Hello, my name is Marjorie Collins, and a couple comments that I have in regards to the permit application is currently the wetland is a buffer filter for the stormwater, both from Union Lake Road and from Ferent. We currently have stormwater issues in our neighborhood, even with the road being paved, just because there's been so much building in the neighborhood, and there we haven't had adequate stormwater drainage. And so our wetland in that area serves as filtration, a buffer for the stormwater. The proposed facility will have additional impervious surfaces, which will mean more stormwater that will not be going into groundwater. And we're concerned about the stormwater buildup in the area, and there hasn't, in the permit application, there was not a quantitative analysis showing the stormwater calculations. Also, as part of the alternatives analysis, there was no, it was inadequate in that I just looked up online lakefront commercial properties and were able to find a couple of properties that day. I know that there has been other commercial properties available on lakefront in Oakland County. So to say that this is our only option for this project just does not seem like the due diligence is being done by the applicant. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you for your comment. Okay, we have two more people with their hands raised. Stephen Smith. You can go ahead and unmute your line and make your comment when you're ready.
Okay, you there?
Yes.
Okay, first thing off, I am the one that actually had the photographs of the dead beaver in the middle of Union Lake Road. Lived on the lake 37 years. We've seen deer, we see bald eagles pretty much year round. There is a nest somewhere in the area. So we know that is true. The other thing, if someone from Eagle would like to come over, I would take them on my pontoon boat and show them the ingress and egress from that canal. It's very shallow. Even a pontoon boat bottoms out going in. In low water situations, it's probably not going to be accessible. And then the other thing is at the end of the canal, I've been in there. It's hard to see how 5 boats would be, what, 50 feet wide? If you had a 10-foot boat slip, you'd have 50 feet wide, how they're going to come in, be able to back out, turn around and leave. While their boat's coming in, it's going to be very crowded. So I would provide that access. If Andy, someone from your group would like to come, go for a boat ride. That's it.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your comment. All right. Next person up is Wendy Rowe. Wendy, you can make your comment when you're ready.
I am.
Go ahead.
So again, my name is Wendy Rowe. I'm getting an echo.
You might need to turn down your speakers.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. So I'm a property owner here on the lake, close proximity to accessing that channel. So to Dale's point earlier, I won't repeat what Dale and Mike shared because I agree with everything they said. But the one thing I do want to go on record asking and saying in a comment about is how that's going to encroach upon my waterfront, where my family and friends are swimming, and the ability to accommodate boats in a very narrow channel. In addition to the obvious concerns about the habitat, which we all take issue with. So for that reason, I wanted to go on record with that comment.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for that comment. All right, so I'm looking now. I don't see anyone else with their hands raised, so I'm gonna put the call out there. If you would like to make a comment, you can raise your hand. Leave it open for a minute here. I'm waiting. I want to remind people that there are other ways to comment. You can do it via our My Waters online system. And if you don't get the link there, don't worry. If you look in the chat, we've added it direct link to this application in the chat. So you can go there and make a comment. You can also make a comment by mail using the address there and in our Warren district office. And the comment period is open until September 23rd. So looking for comments. Yeah, Andy, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I wanted to just clarify something. For people who are going to make a comment through My Waters, that link is only live while the public notice period is active. So if you go to that link September 25th, you're not going to be able to submit a comment because that link is no longer live. So the link to the public notice and the ability to leave a comment through the My Waters system is only good through Friday, September 23rd. If you wish to make a comment past that by mail, but Eagle can make a decision basically anytime after that end of the comment period. But we will consider comments really up until the time that decision's made. So.
Yeah, thanks, Andy, for clarifying that. Okay, not seeing any more hands raised for any more comments. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Andy. He's going to read our closing statement. And after he reads that, I do have some final things to go over with everybody. So go ahead, Andy.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you, everybody, for your comments and cooperation tonight. We appreciate your interest in the proposed project and that you took the time to be here tonight. As indicated at the beginning of the hearing, you may submit additional written comments until Friday, September 23rd. Following the close of the public comment period, we will consider all comments received and make a decision on the proposed project. Just to remind those that may still want to submit a comment, comments can be submitted via My Waters, email, or US mail. The formal hearing tonight is now closed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andy. So just want to remind people about a couple things. I'm going to put Andy's contact information up there for his email address. And Andy, do we have a person, or are you aware, because there was so many questions about zoning tonight in comments, how do you recommend people get a hold or deal with those types of issues?
I mean, that's a township issue. This thing obviously is going to have to go before the township for approvals. And I can only speculate, but I'm sure that Commerce Township will provide some sort of public notice, some sort of notification. I'm not aware of what those exact procedures and protocols are, but at some point it'll go before the township, and those folks can take traffic, noise, business use, land use, zoning. Those questions need to go to the township.
Yeah, right. Okay. I do want to remind everybody too that just like with all our public meetings and hearings, this one was recorded and it's going to be posted on our YouTube channel. And we'll send, we've got, if you register, we've got your emails. We can follow up with you with a link to it, and you can pass it on to others. Also, that'll be posted probably by the end of the week. We'll get that posted up there if you want it. And you did submit comments. If we didn't get to, or many of you did submit questions, and some we didn't get to, I will be sharing all those questions with Andy and Sue. So if it's something they need to get back with you with, or feel they should, they can get back to you directly that way. Yeah, Andy, go ahead.
I just wanted to clarify, there is an appeal process afforded for this project, any project that Eagle issues a permit for or denies a permit for. So, we received a lot of objections to this application, and we certainly want to let people know that should the department issue a permit, there's a way to appeal that. Should the department deny a permit application, the applicant can deny that decision as well. So that's a procedure that's done through the Michigan Administrative Procedures Act, through the Michigan Administrative Hearings Office. So you could, if you were interested, I could send you information, or you could simply Google State of Michigan regulatory hearings, and it would take you to the website. And is our practice in the district office that if you submitted a written comment to us with an email address, like we got most of them through My Waters, we will do a mass email with our ultimate decision to all those folks that submitted a comment. Because one reason we do that, because if someone did want to bring an appeal to a permit decision, they have only 60 days to do that. So we do notify those folks that have objected to the project. So if we will notify those that emailed us a comment either way shortly after the decision.
All right, thanks, Andy. And yeah, do you any other comments for our attendees tonight before we wrap it up? Or
don't.
Sue? Okay.
It's a
All right.
good turnout. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you all for spending some time tonight on this nice evening here to listen to the presentation and to voice your comments. We truly do appreciate that. Yeah, have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you.